Morning guys, it's a Saturday long run day on week 6 for my ultra training. It's a 16-kilometre run today, about 10 miles, and the longest one of the plan so far. We're into the hills and strength training phase now, so it's a step up from the initial base training from the first 4 weeks. So things are ramping up in all areas of volume and intensity. So I'm going to go on a trail run out today, explore a couple of places I've never been before, just to add a bit of interest to the run. And while we're out there, we're going to discuss today's topic, which is all about the different phases of this ultra marathon training plan. The level's not looking too bad this morning, but it's very cold, 2 Celsius, highs of 5 today, so it's not going to get much warmer. So as I mentioned, I want to explore a couple of places I've never been before. A lot of the route's familiar to me, but I'm just going to take a couple of detours at the far end and explore 2 places that look really interesting, and I'd like to have a look around. Not entirely sure which of the 2 you're actually allowed to go to, so may not be able to get there, but I'll do my best. This 50k ultra training plan that I'm following is split up into 5 key phases. The first one is the base phase, and I've completed that one. That was 4 weeks, ramping up with 1 recovery week. I'll go through the details of what's involved in each phase a bit later on in the video. The second phase, and the one I'm currently working through, is hills and strength. It's another 4-week phase, and things ramp up a bit from the base phase in this one. The next 4 weeks will be the speed phase, so you can imagine there'll be some speed work in those 4 weeks. It's a 24-week plan altogether, so having 5 phases, they can't all be 4 weeks long. So the next one covers 8 weeks of training, and that's the endurance phase. It's sort of split into 2 blocks of 4 weeks because there's a recovery on the 4th and the 8th week of that phase. Then the final 4 weeks of the plan is the fine-tuning phase, which includes race week, with the race taking place on the final weekend. So let's talk a bit more about the base phase. This is the introduction to the training. You'd expect it to start relatively low mileage, relatively low effort, and just get you into the training, ramp up a little bit without going too hard or too far, and that's exactly what we get in this first 4 weeks of the plan. So over the course of the base phase, we end up running a total of 137 kilometers. There are 8 strength training sessions overall, so 2 a week, and on the 3rd week, which is the hardest week of the base phase, there's just 1 speed session, just to get us introduced to running those harder efforts. Regular viewers may be pleased to know I did actually have something to eat before I left for this long run. We can hear some busy roads from here. There's the M1 motorway nearby, and the A617, which is the bypass that takes you from Chesterfield to junction 29 off the motorway. Village of Heath, which we're about to go through. We're going to go and just see what some parts of the old village look like today. So this old farm track is actually part of the Spire Ultra route, the ultra that I ran earlier in 2023. Well, almost said earlier this year, but we've moved on since then. And then we cross over this bridge that takes you over the A617 bypass. And over to the right there, that takes you up to the motorway junction, junction 29. There are some old bits I'm going to try and look at now, just on the other side. One way to get to it, you can actually cross over the dual carriageway, and there's remains of an old footpath on both sides, but I don't really want to risk that, crossing 4 lanes of potentially 70-mile-per-hour traffic. So I'm going to see whether I can get round the back. This field kind of butts up to where the old church is. I'm not sure whether you can get through or not, but I guess we're about to find out. Almost at the end of the field, I think I can see the wall around the old church there and some ruined part of the building. I don't think it was ever a huge church. I think it dates back to the 12th century. This part of the field's very muddy. Here we are at the old church. There are some old houses there which I presume were part of the old Heath village before it got cut off, and this lane finishes here. This was called Church Lane, and it actually continues on the other side, and that's the same lane that the new church is on, but obviously it's all cut off and separated from the road now. So there's lots of old graves. There were rumours that the new KS2 high-speed rail line was going to cut straight through here, and all this lot would have to be dug up, which didn't sound overly promising. Whether that's been cancelled now or not, I'm not sure. There's every chance it has. So here's the old church building. Got some stone seating areas just in here. And as you can see, never a large building. I read that this may have just been the original chapel or church, and then later on this porchway was added to it. Here's a look from down the left hand side. See some remains there. That's where we were a minute ago. See the M1 clearly from here. And junction 29 is called Heath Junction as far as I know. So there we go. So I'm glad I made it to see the church. I thought I'd never get to see it, and if they are planning on knocking it down for the HS2 railway line, then that would be a big shame, but hopefully that's not going ahead, at least from the point of view of keeping this church here. Okay, back into the field. There's one more thing I want to explore while I'm here. From what I've seen on the map and Google Earth, if I carry on up the trail I was on before I got into this field, there's a farm track that takes you to Little Tunnel. It doesn't seem to be used by anyone, I guess, except the farmer, and it goes deep underneath the M1 motorway and pops out the other side, heading towards the Nottinghamshire side of the motorway. So I'm just going to go and see if I can get through that. Can't tell from Google Earth, so we'll find out. And just on the other side of the motorway, that's my turnaround point for this run. I'll start heading back towards home. Getting very close to the motorway now. Just need to find this tunnel. I'm very pleased to say I've just seen a public footpath sign the way I'm going. I can hear gunshots up further up the fields over there. So it's nice to know that there is an actual footpath here. Not a very nice one, but there is a sign for it at least. Oh, this looks delicious and delightful. Sliding in. Oh wow. Can still hear gunfire. I mentioned there were game birds about. One of them flew out of the hedge and gave me the usual heart attack. Oh, here we go. See the cars passing over the motorway. Let's jog through here. Just the 6 lanes of traffic over my head now. Made it. So who knows where the path goes from here, but I'm due to turn around now. I only wanted to get under the bridge. I'll have a quick peep out into the field in case I decide to come back here at any point. Lovely and sunny still. some bales and a big pile of muck. So yeah, maybe the path goes that way. Couldn't say for sure. I shall have to check on commute if I ever come back. So back onto the details of this training plan. The hills and strength phase that I'm on now, it goes on for 4 weeks, as I said, and there's a total of 184 kilometres for this one, with again 8 strength sessions, 2 a week, and there are 3 hill sessions on this one. I've done 2 of them. One was 2 days ago, so I imagine I'm still recovering from that slightly. It was 2, 4, 6, 4, 2, so that's how many minutes you run up for, and then you jog back down for the same amount of time. And yeah, my lungs were telling me to stop on the 2nd and 3rd reps, but then I kind of caught up with myself, and the last 2 felt a bit better, especially as the distance was getting shorter. Right, so as I slop my way across this muddy field again, we'll talk about the speed section, which is the one that follows hills and strength. Again, this is a 4-week phase of the plan, and this time there are 200 kilometres of total running, and there are only 7 strength sessions this time around for whatever reason. Hard week, we must have lost a strength session for some reason, but that's just part of the plan. And then there are 3 speed sessions during this, and I believe we get introduced to the 5x5 speed session that Chrissy Mail likes to talk about. It's quite a hard session because you run for 5 minutes hard, but you only get 1 minute recovery in between each rep. So I've got that to look forward to. You can see the New Heath Church from here, on top of the hill there. Okay, so while my heart rate gets back down into the 160s and I slog up this hill, we'll cover the endurance section, which is 8 weeks long, but split into 2 blocks of 4 weeks, if you like. So the first block, I'll need to refer to my notes here, is 243 kilometres, and there are 8 strength sessions over those 4 weeks. The second block of 4 weeks is 274 kilometres. I can safely say I've never done that many kilometres in a week before, so if I get to that point still able to stick to the plan, maybe a miracle. Let's see how we go. There are only 7 strength sessions in that second block of 4 weeks, and over the entire 8-week block we've got 5 speed sessions and 2 hills crammed into 6 weeks, so it's 7 sessions in 6 weeks effectively. So that'll keep me on my toes, or in my hospital bed, one of the 2. Right, had the rest of my flapjack, just under 6k left to go, so I'll just discuss this final phase, which is fine tuning, and then I'll get on with my run and get home. So the final 4 weeks is quite busy to start with, and then we taper down a bit towards the race. The numbers do include the 56 kilometre race at the end of week 4, so there's a total of 267 kilometres of running over the fine tuning phase, 6 strength sessions, 3 speed sessions and 1 hilly run. Don't think that's a hill session, I think it's just a, you know, moderately long run on a hilly route, so not quite the same as a session, but still some hard work. But yeah, the final week and a bit, pretty easy. There are some little strides and things like that to keep your legs turning over, but nothing too hard, as we head towards the 56 kilometre race on the final weekend. Okay, there we go then, 16 kilometres done, plus a bit extra while I was walking around the church and talking to camera, so 16.81 in the end. But yeah, it was a good run, felt good throughout, and I think I've just got an 11k run tomorrow to finish off week 6, and then move into the what will be the peak week of the hills and strength section, week 7. So I've got that to come. Hopefully I'll catch you then, guys. Thanks for following along. If you do want to subscribe to my channel, it is free. Just press the button and watch the subscriber count go up by 1. Thanks again, I'll see you soon.